What's good, people? What's good? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, funny conversation I had. Someone was talking to me about Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and all of those NXT, and I said, you know what's funny? I know who some of the people are. I don't really know a whole lot of them. Um, if you do watch professional wrestling, you know that AEW they came into play and they came in as a major player. Impact is still around, Ring of Honor is still around. But I said, to be honest with you, out of all of these people, I probably overall know I'm more familiar with people that's in Impact and people that's in AEW. I never really been a big WWE guy, even when they were WWF. But they were asking me, and I said, you know what, man? And people said the people in the conversation were saying, yeah, me too. It's like if I'm, sometime I'm channel surfing and it's on. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch wrestling. And I said, yeah, it's funny because back in the day, you knew what time it came on when it came. You're like, hey, all right, yeah, let me go. I'm about to go watch. I used to watch WCW, NWA, and all that AWA. And I did watch the WWE, but it was for certain wrestlers because their overall product was like a big soap opera. The other wrestling federations was more like just straight up wrestling. I mean, they had their storylines, but it wasn't anything over the edge. And then little by little, that started to change. And professional wrestling was one of those things that you didn't really put a label on it. You just called it wrestling, but you couldn't. It's not fighting. It wasn't. Uh, it was just wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what happened is the characters back then they had a lot of personality. You know, Sting, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the British Bulldogs. Uh, I didn't like characters like George the Animal Steel and the Missing Link. I didn't really like characters like that. You know, Ultimate Warrior, guys like that, the Steiner brothers. Like I like that, Tony Atlas, Rocky Johnson, people like that, man. That I liked. Always had more of a liking for like the strong guys. Ric Flair and those guys were doing their thing, whatever. But like I always liked the strong guys because that was always my thing, like the powerhouse guys. But the characters had personality, man, and that's really what made you watch more so than just the overall product of the WWE, WWF at the time, whatever. And then really, when the NWO came out in WCW, I remember watching. It was like, okay, it was real interesting at that time, and I think to me that was like just the hype. And when that situation happened in WWF, where when Vince came out, and it's not that we didn't know it already, but when Vince came out and said, "What you see every Monday night is not real. It's a 2 hour movie. It's not real." It's that had a lot. I remember going back to work and people going, "Man, did you hear that? Man, all this time." And me coming up in a boxing and you know learning some self defense and stuff, and just do like actually doing real contact stuff. Like I knew professional wrestling wasn't like I mean we knew it was staged. Nobody open hand slaps to the side of the head. Nobody what I mean when you're boxing you don't hit a person and they're doing this and staggering around and just a lot of silly shit, man. Like stuff that you knew, a lot of silly things that you knew, like nah. But I mean I'm talking as a kid. I knew it wasn't real. But I think like wrestling was one of those things you didn't want to call it fake, and you kind of tried to make an excuse for it to be real. But then it was like, because it was fun to watch, but at the same time, it's always been stupid. Like things happen that make when you're sitting there going, "What the hell am I sitting there watching?" But it was always something that just intrigued you, right? And basically, to me, because I started learning how to wrestle with this guy. I actually had a ring set up in his backyard, man, and had a big canvas up covering his whole thing, so when it rained and stuff like that. And that ring is not nearly as soft as we thought. Like I knew it wasn't as soft as people would say. It's like a trampoline. I'm like, hell no, because when they have battle royals, man, they have like 30 people, 40 people. Hell no. A trampoline would just stay down. It's not going to keep you up. And so, like, it's definitely hard. It's not a trampoline. That's common sense. But a lot of people thought that was saying, oh, it's fake. The one thing that always got my attention, that it will make me laugh, because I found myself watching it, but people would say, that stuff is fake. It's nothing but an act. Stuff ain't real. But then when they're watching it, they get him. Come on, come on, you had him. And I'm sitting there saying, why are people so emotionally invested in something that they know is not real? And my thing about professional wrestling is, even like the guy that I was training with, because I liked it, but it was just like, one of those things. It was like hit or miss with it. And he told me, he said, the basic thing about professional wrestling is doing the job for people, man. I do the job for you, you do the job for me. Because I was really getting good. Like, I mean, I learned a lot, and it was like, he was like, yo, you're ready to go. Like, you can go in the ring right now, man, and start because he was doing it. He was trying to get in, and I forgot, it was like some local federation that, he actually wrestled, never, had a big name. But he anyway, yeah, I remember, like, he was saying, yeah, I mean, and I felt I felt confident, like, I could do this. But my thing was like, so wait a minute, so you mean to tell me you're gonna tell me we're gonna discuss what we're gonna do backstage, and then we're gonna come out, and then it's like, it's choreographed. So I'm gonna let you hit me with a chair. You're gonna let me hit you with the kendo stick, and I'm like, man, no. And I imagine in my mind, being backstage at a boxing event, going, hey, look, all right, so look, I'm gonna hit you with an uppercut, right? I want you to fake like it knocked you back. And I started laughing, and I'm like, why do we watch professional wrestling? Like, this is what I'm like, but it was just something about it. Like, it was just entertaining. But like I said, it was fun to watch, but it was stupid at the same time, man. And when what to me, what was the nail in the coffin as far as professional wrestling ever being as big as it was at one time? I mean, people say, yeah, but it's bigger now because you got more federations. No, you have social media, and people have like YouTube and things like that, where they can actually, they don't have TV deals, they can, have a YouTube channel and put their matches on there and stuff like that. Okay, but when you had guys that you thought was badass, and you hear stories about, this guy got knocked out backstage. Oh, this guy was terrified of this guy and screaming to let me out the cage. And this guy was scared to go in the back. And you're like, wait a minute. So I'm here thinking this guy's a tough guy. Because when you're a kid, you don't know any better. But I knew it wasn't real fighting. I knew it was, I mean, I didn't label it as entertainment or whatever. It was just something fun to watch. But I didn't label it as a movie, a soap opera. But it's really just like, that's what it is. It's like a violent soap opera. And those guys really get hurt. The men and women really get hurt. They have accidents, things happen, go wrong. They really get hurt. That mat is not as soft as you think, and they really take some shots, and there's pain involved. But it was always a thing where what made no sense to me was, well, why are we going to stage a fight? But then at the same time, it was like, it became what it did. And I think for them to try to change it back to something different just wouldn't work. But all of this time that we watch professional wrestling is one of those things, man, you find yourself watching it. But I mean, for me, it's like, I know it's not real fighting. But then I think that's what killed it too. To where it's still around, but it's not what it was. And I don't think it ever will be. Because when you have people, especially now, when you see these older wrestlers shooting on each other, and this guy was this guy was that. Oh, I couldn't stand that guy. Oh, I punched him in the face backstage. I did this, and this guy beat up this guy. And it's like you hear all these things. Oh, this guy was a racist. That guy was this. And like, what? I'm cheering for this motherfucker. He's a racist? What? Like, so it was one of those things where when you start hearing that, and different wrestlers talk about, whoa, yeah, they put the belt on me because this and that, and see, this and that. Well, they put the belt on him, and they told me before I went out, and that just kills everything. You know what it's like? Remember, like, back in the day, magic shows was a big thing. Magic shows to come on Channel 7 or Channel 4, whatever, regular TV. And they would be one of the highest rated shows. Everybody wanted to see the magic tricks, right? Now, you couldn't figure out how they did certain things, like sawing a lady in half. Now, common sense, we know that they didn't really saw this lady in half. We were just like, what the, like, how? It's like right in front of your face, but you just can't figure out how they, you know. But when you actually, what killed Magic to me, and anybody who used to watch it, I'm sure you like, you'll know, you'll agree. They had a show one time that came on. This was like the early 2000s, late 90s, and they showed you how they did these magic tricks. And a part of me, a huge part of me, I wish I never watched that show. Because after I saw it, it was like, what's the purpose of watching it now? You that like I think we get too much information. A lot of things, like you know, look at, for example, how we if you look at most channels who have an opinion about, like, boxing, for example, more than half of what people are saying most of the time is opinion, because they get one or two pieces of information and start using their imagination to add on and add on and add on. And as they're speaking, in every channel who catches on, they start saying the same things, and then just everybody want to add their 2 cents. And basically, you're just talking. And it's like, well, where do you get this information from? You saw one or two pieces of information, and then all of a sudden you create this little mini movie about what actually happened. How would you know that? You know, so assuming things and stuff like that. And then it's not that things come into fruition. It's just that you say what you say, people agree, you get a lot of likes on your channel, and then it's like, oh yeah, because yep, remember last time and such and such said, and this one said, okay, somebody said it. That don't mean that it's true. So I feel like the intrigue, the whole mystique of it, they killed it when they did that show and showed how they. It was like, and then now once you see it, you go, damn, that's so simple, right? Kind of like when you play the lottery or something, right? And you sitting there strategically, people trying to put these numbers together, and then not one number come out, but when the number comes up, they go, damn, I should have played it. You wouldn't have played it. That's why you didn't. You played what you played, right? It seems simple after you see it, but it just killed it. It just killed it. It was like, and I'm sitting there thinking, why did I just watch this show, man? Now I have no reason to watch it anymore. And that was the last time I saw an actual magic show come on. Now, guys like David Blaine and all this elevating off the floor and like using trick TV, and hovering over water, you can clearly see the wire from his back going up. They messed up with that. You could clearly see the wire, and it's up, elevated over his head, and the people, oh my god, you know. And plus, like, the camera didn't mean to catch that. I don't think that they thought you could see it, but we saw it clearly. And I'm not stupid. I don't believe in, that's not magic. That's like supernatural power. Somebody floating up in the air and he's elevating up and all this, and they're putting their hands under his feet, and oh my god, and they're standing in the water, and people are, he's really floating. And I'm like, all right. Just like I know Superman can't really fly. Just like I know that, you know, Spider-Man is not really swinging all over town. Like, okay, he's in a red and blue suit, but that's about it. So at the end of the day, it was like, when that happened with professional wrestling, it was like when Vince made that announcement, and I guess he had to say what he had to say because his company was under, you know, a big situation, which, you know, that's not what I focused on. But it's one of them situations where we still, I honestly, I have been like checking out AEW and Impact a little bit, but I can't, man. If I do anything, what I'll do is I'll look on YouTube. I'll check out to see what Bianca Belair is doing. You know, Sasha Banks. I used to watch AJ, man, but they've been messing AJ's character up to me. I can't, man. It's, you know, when Goldberg came back and stuff, and just certain people I just watched it for, man. Not for the show itself. So the fact I don't have to sit, and I'll just, oh, okay, and I'll pick out what I want to see, and then that was that. Now, AEW, I'll watch the whole show. Impact doesn't put the whole show up, but they will put their clips and their highlights of the night type thing, and I'll watch that. But I don't even watch it with the same interest that I used to watch. Wrestling just doesn't feel the same. When AEW came in, came into play, it felt like, okay, now wrestling is fun again because, but then it was just like, you know what? To be honest with you, I never really cared for the wars, the Monday Night Wars, or any this company versus that. It's like if you support something, you don't want to see any of it go away. You don't want to see another company go out of business. But that's just the way people are. They pick sides and they sit there and they claim they love. It's like if you love boxing, you didn't want to see boxing go off HBO, but it's the way it happened. But then again, you couldn't feel sorry for people. Some of some of the people for those who lost jobs at HBO that was talking trash about Showtime and bashing the Floyd Mayweather situation and how Showtime is this and that. And it's like, well, you guys did all this talk about Showtime. Showtime's still around. Boxing is alive and well on Showtime, and no more boxing on HBO. That's not something that you wished. Despite the ignorant comments that a lot of people made, that was a part of the boxing shows, but because it's more boxing to watch. Why would you want to see something that you claim you love and have a big interest in? Why would you want to see it go away? There's certain people who you might not care if they go away, but just as a genre, as a sport, like why would you want to see, like, this is a network that was carrying boxing for years. You've been watching boxing. I've been I don't I've seen every Roy Jones pro fight. I've seen all of Tyson's pro fights. This is before HBO, of course. Before it was on HBO, or any Showtime or whatever. I'm just saying, I've seen all of these guys on Showtime or HBO. Like, there's certain fighters I've seen all their fights. There's certain um 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 fighters that I've only seen after they, you know, gotten 25, 30 fights in the bag. Certain people, I got a life to live, man. I can't just walk around and make it, I don't have that kind of interest, actually, to just sit in the house all day, every day, like I have no life and just watch everybody else. But just being, I mean, I'm in the gym myself every day, doing multiple things, you know. But just being in a situation, man, where you could just, hey, let me go watch this, let me watch that, and having like YouTube where you can go pull up old fights and watch things that you might have missed and watch stuff that you saw that you want to see again. That's a great thing. And I think too, back in the day, because there was before they started doing instant replays and things like that, I think TV ratings were so high because if you missed it, you missed it. You couldn't go back and pick back up on it next week. It was like you just missed that episode of whatever it was. So, it was like, okay, 8 o'clock, I'm there so I could see the show. Whatever it was. And now it's like you could DVR things. It's like it's no big deal if you see it live when it first happens or if you see it later, just as long as you see it. At least for me, you know. And I think a whole lot of other people, music, everything. Honestly, I think we have too much. I think we just have too much in the sense where we're greedy. We always want. I'm not really saying myself because I'm just like these things don't really matter to me. It's things that you want to see. You want to, hey, I want to see that fight. Hey, I want to see that movie. Things like that. But I mean, I'm not like one of those people that rant and rave and complain. And no, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Life goes on, man. It's not that serious. You know. I've never seen a person on life support and they say, "Hey, what can we do to save you?" If I just get a chance to watch that movie, man, I'll live. It's not that serious. I need to see that boxing match. Yo, I need to just see Stephen Curry play. I'll live. Now, it's not that serious. You understand what I'm saying? But you just support certain things because you have an interest in it. But I think that it's so many ways to watch movies, watch sports, listen to music. We have access to so many things that is like it just basically there's no intrigue. Like example, remember how they used to have a hardcore match every now and then? Well, the intrigue was there because all of a sudden, oh, we got okay hardcore match, but then ECW comes along and it was like everything was just this garbage cans, kendo sticks, light bulbs, whatever I mean, staple guns. It was like, there's no more intrigue. We see it all the time. It was like, and I think that they've done so much of the same things and tried to give so much to the point they gave too much, and it's just no more intrigue. Remember the cruiserweight division, all these guys doing all these high flying moves, but remember years before that, we saw Jushin Thunder Liger, we saw Brian Pillman, we but it wasn't everybody. Now it's like every cruiserweight match, everybody look like it's like watching a video game. Everybody's doing the same flipping, flying moves all over the place, and the intrigue is not there anymore. And no one believes that these guys can really beat the bigger guys anyway. And it's just so many things that go on, man. I think that wrestling is one of those things that they kind of dug a hole for themselves, and at the same time they still are in a good place, But it was like, yeah, we watch it here and there, but that's the thing. We knew who everybody was back in the day. Now it's like, I know some of these guys. I don't know half of them. And it's like, I don't even care to know. It's just certain things that we watch, certain things that that feeling is not like what it was, though. It's no big deal. And the fact that you have all of these different organizations and people are still, I only watch WWE, or I only watch Impact, or I only watch AEW. How does it help the sport to grow? The entertainment, the sport entertainment to grow. How does it grow when we're picking sides? It's like divide and conquer. We saw what happened with the WCW in the long run. We saw what happened with ECW in the long run. And history can repeat itself. And with this coronavirus, it's very, very difficult for me to sit and watch an empty arena match. It's like, it just looks so weird, man. And the interest is just not there. So, yeah, I mean, I think we just, I think that pretty much chopped this big tree of wrestling down very, very, very short, man. I mean, it's like the roots are still planted in the grass, man. The rain can fall, but it's not going to be easy, because it's like we've gotten to the point where it's like not just wrestling, but because of the things involved in wrestling and the way the business was handled, but we have way too many critics and not enough observers and supporters. People can't just sit back and say, hey, okay, all right, just see the show for what it is. Now every show you have people that do have their channels and they do the reviews, and everybody's a critic. And then everybody want to chip in and, oh, yep, and this and that and yada, yada, yada. And, one thing about myself is I may comment on certain things, but, one channel from whatever genre it might be may have 50 videos up. I may have commented out of everything new, only what I'm interested in. Something might get your attention. What happened? Okay, let me check this video out. I don't always comment, because I don't always have a comment. And if I'm not interested in the video, I don't make a comment just to make it. But, when you start reading the comments, is one thing when people start saying things, and it's just, I notice people love to say things, or they'll respond to you like, oh, but like someone responded and made a comment when they was talking about Daniel Dubois. I think it was Counterpunch Boxing page, his channel, and someone made a comment about Daniel Dubois. It's too early for him. He hasn't been tested, man. He got to fight this guy. And I made a comment. I said, give the guy some credit. I mean, Deontay Wilder had 40 fights before he finally fought a damn worthy opponent. I mean, and he had a belt. Someone responded, who Wilder fighting 40 fight? He fought nobody. He didn't want to fight such and such. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly the point that I just made. Read before you respond. You understand? Like, why do people are just so quick that they read 3-4 words, or they'll read just a sentence and don't understand realize, oh, he's saying the same thing I just said. I didn't put anybody's name, but to me it was common sense. Me saying, give the guy some credit. You know, Wilder had 40 fights before he finally fought someone. So wouldn't that common sense tell you? I'm saying give Daniel Dubois credit for he want to put his name in the hat. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Other fighters get criticized for that, right? For being too quiet, for being too, hey, if they want to fight, I'm here, right? Have you ever heard Luis Ortiz camp calling? Have they been known for calling people out and making offers? Not just saying I want to fight somebody, but even making offers and making no. You ask Luis Ortiz who does he want to fight? Whoever wants to fight, it doesn't matter. That's like going to a restaurant. Man, I hope you sure what do you want to eat? Nah, it really doesn't matter. Just something good. You're spending your money. I don't know what you like. You got to make that choice, you know? But anyway, yeah, professional wrestling, man, is one of those things, man. Like, you watch it, and sometimes, be honest with you, like I said, for the entertainment value, but you don't even know why you watch it. But there's been periods of time, let me say, especially like since WCW went away, where I wasn't watching wrestling for years, man. I had no clue what was going on. And there'll be times off and on you'll hear like a certain wrestler may have came back, and like I said, I'll check in just to see what's going on with that guy, that particular wrestler. But and it's like, you know, the way, I don't know, storylines and things that they do now, the characters just have no appeal. It's like there's no more Rocks and Hulk Hogan's and Stings and Undertakers. They just can't do that anymore. It's like they've forgotten how to actually build stars. And then when these guys, you know, like I feel like Impact was making a mistake by signing mid card WWE guys and then give them the top spot. And as soon as their contract ends, they run back to WWE, make fun of the Impact, and you know what I mean, and things like that. But then your homegrown guys is getting pushed to the back, and WCW made that same mistake as well. Now AEW learned from them, and they're not doing that. And it's like one of these things where when you watch a program and you go, you're following the story, and you're just sitting there going, I know I didn't become stupid. I know I'm not losing my sense. I fail to realize to really see the direction that they're going on. Because then the following week come, you watched another episode and you're like, this is WWE. I mean, Impact has things that I like and they have things that I don't like. AEW does things that I mostly like. They did certain things that I didn't like, but that's life. That's just, you know, I'm not. Oh, they should have did this. They should know. It's, you know, but you know, overall, I can deal with what Impact does and what AEW does. I'm not gonna get into it, but yeah, there's some things that Impact has been doing that I just felt like, okay, you're doing great things, but there's certain things you guys are repeating and you're doing that's just not making any sense, man. And at the end of the day, it's not, you know, getting more eyes, more attention to your product. Why are you even doing it? You know, just certain things. WWE is just like all over the place, man, and I just don't understand how they've gotten to the point where, I mean, their characters just don't have real appeal, and just wrestling in general, man. Remember when the Ultimate Warrior music used to hit, and he'd run down, and you like, okay. You don't feel. Remember how Sting used to come down from the Raptors, you know, from the Raptors at you know, Nitro. You don't have that feeling anymore. People come out now, and it's just like everybody comes out. They do the same thing. They stand there, hold the microphone, they talk, make a threat. They're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, yada yada yada. Stand there, screw face the camera, and breathing all hard and crazy, and it's just the same thing over and over. And it's like, okay, wrestling has lost its mojo, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you, AEW is like fresh blood in the veins, and what they're doing is you know, I respect. NXT, like I said, it's just a few faces. I can sit here and say, like I said, Sasha Banks, Bianca Belair. Uh, I used to check for AJ, man. I used to like watching AJ, but they've been, I don't know, the way they've been using AJ is like, I just lost interest in all of it, man. I mean, look at what they did to Bray Wyatt, and then Goldberg gets the belt and then loses it to of all people, Braun Strowman, and Braun Strowman gets the title during this time when it's just like, yeah. So I have no real reason to really check for what's going on, and it's just the interest is just not there, man. I mean, it's just not there. So professional wrestling is just one of those things, though, that you might not watch it for a while, but then you find yourself, whether even if it's a different company, but you find yourself watching it. You might not watch it consistently, but oh, I'm home, it's on, and then you watch it. And it used to be a time when even on Monday Night Football, wrestling was on, and I'm watching Nitro. Hey, the Raiders are playing. Yeah, all right, cool, but I'm watching Nitro. So, and remember how they always handled it? Oh, yeah, the ratings wasn't as high because football was. Give yourself a better product, and a wrestling fan will choose wrestling over an NFL game. That's why they choose the NFL over wrestling, because they're more interested in the NFL. So I always just felt like watching wrestling was like, hit or miss. Anyway, that's all I want to say on that video. Catch y'all on the next one.